As NATO continues to take military action in Bosnia and the Russians become more vocal about NATO involvement, we'll ask former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger his thoughts on the war in the former Yugoslavia. We will also discuss perhaps our most important long-term strategic concerns, namely our relations with China. Welcome, and welcome to you, Henry.
Glad to be here.
We are now at a point where we've dramatically changed our policy towards Bosnia. We have engaged in intensive bombing. It's been going on for a while. How do you assess where we are and where we ought to go?
Well, I don't understand what we're trying to do with the bombing. There was a case to be made early on when the Serbs were engaging in massive human rights violations to put an end to that. But at this point, we have to get clear about our objective. We act as if we are trying to force the Serbs back into a mythical Bosnia that has never existed in history. There's no Bosnian language, there's no Bosnian culture. Bosnia is an administrative entity which contains Croats, Muslims, and Serbs, artificially created as a subdivision of Yugoslavia and foolishly recognized as a state by the Western powers in 1991. If you look at Serbian history, for 600 years they have fought not to be dominated by Muslims. And why the United States should violate its own principle of self-determination to bomb them back, why our media should call them the separatist Serbs. What are they separating from that has ever existed? So I believe that what we should do is create a Muslim state or recognize a Muslim state, permit the other nationalities either to make themselves independent or join Croatia and Serbia, as the case may be, and not get ourselves involved in a Balkan war that cannot end, even if we win it. We cannot stay there in permanent occupation. The Germans required 17 divisions to police Serbia in the last war, and we don't have a stomach for anything like that, nor should we have.
Now, part of our policy has been the notion of a multi-ethnic state in Bosnia. But the Serbs, as you say, have made it clear from the very beginning. They have no intention of being ruled by the Muslims, and the Muslims have no intention of being ruled by the Serbs. Yet we're still paying lip service, at least, to that, even though on the ground it seems to me you've had that ethnic separation.
Exactly. The ethnic groups that live in Bosnia have demonstrated that they don't want a multi-ethnic state by the most brutal, inhuman kind of ethnic cleansing, and none of them are living now anymore on the territory of the other. So one doesn't prove any multi-ethnic principle by forcing three nationalities that have been murdering each other for 3 years to live in the same state, in which it is almost impossible to imagine a central government. It is impossible to imagine a central government. This whole thing started in '91 because at that time the various ethnic groups recognized that they couldn't live together and wanted to form a very loose confederation, which we objected to for Russian reasons. We didn't want Russia to break up at that moment. And I think we are engaged in a dangerous policy, even if we win militarily in the short run.